So many women stay stuck because they're waiting to feel ready, whether that's to apply for a job, to leave a relationship, or to finally start that thing that they've been dreaming about. The day when you suddenly feel ready might never come. How many times have you told yourself, oh, I'll start when I feel more confident? But then 6 months goes by and you've literally done nothing different. Maybe you're waiting until you have a better plan, or if you just have a little bit more money saved, but deep down, you know if you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, you're going to keep putting your life on hold. The mental trap we put ourselves in is believing that readiness is a feeling or some kind of destination to be reached, but when in reality, readiness is actually a decision, and we can make that decision at any time. Action comes before confidence, not the other way around. When you start something new, you're probably going to suck at it. And that's totally normal. Not everyone is going to be a prodigy at everything when they first start. Think about the first time you learned to drive a car or you started a new job. No matter how ready you felt in the beginning, there was still a learning curve for you to become knowledgeable and confident in doing them. Again, the confidence came after the action. So if you've been waiting for the perfect time, the perfect version of yourself, or the perfect opportunity, let this be your wake up call. The perfect moment doesn't exist, and the longer you wait, the more you reinforce the belief that you can't do it yet. If you know your life is passing you by because you don't feel ready yet, I am here to change your beliefs and to conquer your fears. In this video, we're going to talk about why we procrastinate, how it actually affects us, and how to break the pattern. First, we're going to debunk the myth of readiness. And as we already established, readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And if we're waiting on perfect circumstances to feel ready, we're going to be waiting forever. So, why do we do this? For a lot of us, it's the fear of failure. We are terrified of trying and not succeeding, so we just wait around for the day to come where we'll magically feel fearless. Some women procrastinate because they're comparing themselves to everyone else and they're convincing themselves that they don't have the looks, the personality, or the knowledge to be successful. Others get stuck in what's called analysis paralysis, and this is where you over research, over plan, but never actually start anything because you're convincing yourself that you're not prepared enough. Then there's the popular fear of being seen and fear of being cringe. We are so worried about what friends, family, and strangers on the internet are going to think of us when we're vulnerable and we put ourselves out there. Then there is people pleasing and external validation. You ask or wait for a sign that you're worthy, good enough, or ready to start going after what you want based off of someone else's opinion. When I started this channel, I probably went through every single one of those limitations. I always wanted to start a business. I always loved helping women. And obviously, my chronic intimate pain journey kind of was the catalyst for that. And I just didn't know where to start. And so, what I did was the whole analysis paralysis. I constantly researched, looked at trends, looked at financials, and I had my own financial limitations at the time, and there was just so many things that were holding me back, and they were literally all mental. And I knew I could put myself out there on social media, and I was always afraid to. I was afraid of being seen, whether I admitted it to myself or others or not. That was definitely the case. I was not confident in who I was and my message because I wasn't clear about it. And it's just so much different now looking back on how I realized I was waiting to feel ready when I just had to get the balls to start. As I was approaching turning 29, I went through a deep reflection of my life and what results I was getting with the actions that I was doing. And I just decided one day that I was just going to shut up and I was going to start. No matter how I felt, if I felt ready or if I felt like a fool, I was just going to put my mind to what I wanted because I knew the life that I was living wasn't what I wanted. And in just 3 months, I've learned how to make content. I've learned how to talk to the camera. I've learned how to edit. And I even did a brand pivot to align more authentically with who I am as a whole person and not just one portion of my life. And I'm so glad I did that. And I know as I continue this, I'm going to improve my skills and all my videos are going to get better and hopefully I reach more people. And I already feel better living more authentically and going after what I want. And I'm so happy that the stupid fear of not being ready didn't hold me back anymore. The truth is that no one ever feels ready. And a great saying and popular piece of advice is don't compare your day one to someone else's day 100. You have to start where you are. You have to make the decision to commit, and you'll figure it out as you go. You have to decide, start small, and let the readiness grow from showing up. So, why does waiting hurt you? Every time you delay action, you're not just delaying progress, you're reinforcing the belief that you're not capable yet. The longer you wait, the harder it is to start. And what could have been a small first step now looks like a mountain because you built it up so much in your head. And because of that, you lose momentum before you even take your first step. Time is a finite resource, and waiting costs you time that you will never get back. 6 months of waiting could have been 6 months of practicing, refining your skills, and building confidence. The time is going to pass anyway, and let me reiterate, you will never get it back. A year from now, you're gonna wish you started today, just like right now, you wish you started a year ago. And it's not just about the time, it's about the opportunities that you miss while you hesitate. That grant application deadline passed that could have funded that business you were trying to start. That job role was filled while you were sitting there wondering if you were even qualified for it. And most of the time, it's not really about readiness, it's about unworthiness. You sit there and tell yourself you'll start when you're good enough, but that moment actually never comes because procrastinating feeds the unworthiness. The self doubt intensifies over time until you start to tell yourself things like, maybe it's just not meant for me, or maybe I can't do it. And the longer you allow yourself to think these thoughts, the more likely you are to believe them. Waiting until you're ready is like waiting until you're fit to start going to the gym. It just doesn't make any logical sense. So say it with me. Action creates readiness. So now that we thoroughly understand why we procrastinate and how terrible it is to do so, let's go through some strategies so we can more easily decide to be ready to take some action. The first strategy is lowering the barrier to entry. Break your big goal down into bite-sized pieces. Instead of saying, I'm going to change my entire life at once, break it down so that you have tiny little actionable steps that don't seem so intimidating. Small steps done consistently matter so much more than your grand plans that never go anywhere because you never start them. If you want to start working out, don't commit to an hour-long routine right away. Just go for a daily 10-minute walk. If you want to start saving money, instead of putting $1,000 of your paycheck away in a savings account in 1 month, just start with $5. The little things compound over time. Done is better than perfect, and it's the repetition that creates skill and creates results. Lowering the barrier to entry helps give you small, stackable accomplishments that help you build your confidence and take action now. The second strategy is detaching from the outcome. Too many women measure success by perfection, and if it's not perfect, then it's failure. And I was guilty of this too. If the workout wasn't an hour long, it didn't count. If the piece of content didn't go viral, it was a waste of time. If the first date wasn't flawless, they'll never find love. That mindset guarantees paralysis because if the goal is always perfection, you'll never feel like you achieved anything. You'll always be chasing a moving target, which only fuels procrastination and self-doubt. Instead, you have to redefine success. Success is not a perfect outcome. Success is showing up. It's proving to yourself that you can take that step regardless of what happens afterwards. When you focus on showing up, the pressure releases. One imperfect workout is still a win. One video with 20 views, still a win. One awkward first date is still a win. Why are they wins? Because they're building momentum, and momentum is what creates growth. Progress compounds from presence, not perfection. The woman who shows up consistently, even if it's imperfect and messy, will always lap the woman who waits for the perfect conditions. The outcome will come in time, but the habit of showing up no matter the outcome is where the results will happen. Another strategy is identity shifting. And I know I touched on this in my last video, but if you really want to change your life, identity shifting is the core of how you're going to do it. Most people think change only happens after the result is achieved, but that's backwards. You have to believe that you already achieved the result before you see it in real life. You don't wait for the title or outcome to claim the identity. You start embodying it now. So how do you do this? Some quick examples. If you want to get fit, walk into a gym like you belong there, even if you don't know how to use the machines. If you want a loving relationship, treat yourself the way you want to be treated and stop settling for less. Identity shifting is powerful because your brain craves alignment. If you unconsciously or consciously identify as someone who isn't good enough yet, your actions are going to match that. But if you start telling yourself you're already the woman that you want to be, your brain is going to look for proof and nudge you to act that way. Each time you act in line with that identity, you reinforce it until it becomes your normal. The sooner you shift your identity, the sooner your actions and results will show up. That's how you close the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Now that you've got some strategies, I'm going to give you some practical tools to help you act before you feel ready. When you don't feel ready, having tools and systems in place can push you into action before your brain talks you out of it. Motivation fades, but systems and order will keep you accountable and consistent. The first thing you can use is journaling prompts. Now, this doesn't have to be sexy in a beautiful leather notebook like you see on Instagram. Just open up a Word document and write down some questions like, what would I do right now if I felt ready? This can give you direction to do one thing instead of obsessing over the 100 things that you could do. This clarity is so important because when you know exactly what to do next, it is so much easier to make a move. By writing down intentions and goals and checking them off, you're training yourself to see that you follow through, and that builds trust and self worth. Journaling will also spark solutions because writing actually activates the problem solving part of your brain. So, the answers you can't find while you're overthinking, you could find while you're writing. So, get it out of your head, get it down on paper, and follow through. Next, I want you to start setting deadlines. If you leave things open ended, procrastination will take over. Set a deadline for the smallest of the small tasks that you have to do. Deadlines create urgency and momentum. Without deadlines, your to do list is going to sit in the back of your head and slowly drain your energy. A clear timeline forces you to stop negotiating with yourself and just commit. Use self imposed deadlines. For example, say, I'll finish this by 7 p.m., or set an alarm on your phone for 7 p.m. in the future and work against the clock to get there. Doing this is enough to break the cycle of delay. Even if you don't exactly finish at 7 p.m., what you can accomplish between the time you start and your self imposed deadline is probably going to be a lot. You're going to show yourself that you can do it and that it feels good to do it. Another tool you can use is accountability. And before I dive into this one, I do want to preface with I do not believe that you should be sharing your goals in life with random people on the internet or people outside of your very trusted circle. I think that should be a very private thing until have gotten to where you want to be, essentially. So, for the purpose of this tool that I'm sharing, please pick somebody who is an extremely trusted friend, a family member, a professional mentor, somebody that you really value their opinion and that you know that they can be trustworthy with this information. The point of accountability is to share what you're working on and the progress that you've made so far with someone who's going to hold you accountable for the progress that you're making. If you're sharing with a friend saying, oh, hey, like I'm going to start this YouTube channel, I have an idea, I'm going to post my first video on Sunday. Your best friend can follow up with you and say, hey, did you ever post that video on Sunday? Even if it's not in a derogatory way, like, oh, you didn't post that video on Sunday, you're still more likely to not want to disappoint the friend and to follow through on your actions because people who procrastinate and tend to have lower self worth, they have an easier time breaking promises to themselves than others. For those of you who have business goals, there's an amazing free resource called score.org, and it's where thousands of entrepreneurs volunteer their time to mentor other entrepreneurs in specific industries. You can be a brand new entrepreneur or have 20 plus experience yourself. Either way, I've met some amazing people on there, and I definitely recommend it. Whatever your goals are, go find that accountability partner and get started. I know taking action before you feel ready can be really scary, but what's much scarier is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived the way you wanted to live out of fear. If you want more sisterly advice on how to love yourself and how to become the person you've always wanted to be, subscribe and join me here every week for new videos. Thank you so much for watching. Now go take some action.